Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of the Nap Bros podcast. I'm Nick, he's Andrew, he's also tired, and we are inviting you back into our continued conversation about sovereignty. And today we are looking at chapter 18, Mastery.
But
Mastery.
before we get into that, let's talk about why I'm tired. It seems
Go
like
ahead.
collectively, granted, there's this thing called daylight savings time in there, but it seems like we just collectively keep getting later and later and later on our recording times, and so it is hard for me to fill a 3 hour gap of downtime between when the kids go to bed and when we need to record. So you know what? I start filling it with a nap.
That
Gotta
works.
get it in.
That works.
Gotta get it in where you can, son. Gotta get it in where you can. Anyways, back to the question, the topic at hand. Chapter 18, Mastery in our book. Mastery. Like, I'm trying not to jump into the later bit of the chapter, because, it's all laid out, but, definitely Jack of all trades jumps up first when you think of it.
Yeah.
What
Just
does it
don't
mean
use
to
that.
be a master? This whole introduction bit, he talks about how most people have a goal in mind, and when they see the goal in sight, they take their foot off the gas, preferably, basically they slow down, they coast through the finish line. Oh man, that reminds me. Them races you see somebody that he's on a bike and he's like, yeah, I won the last little 15 feet, and then all of a sudden someone comes zooming by him, or he falls and
Mm-hmm.
crashes, and yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. That's pretty much the analogy. See, I didn't even use football. See, that was a bicycling. So coast through the goal if you make it to the goal. Once you coast, the quote I like the best is when you take your foot off the gas, you start to slow from life's friction. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things in life that slow your butt down. So my question, um, well, his question is, are you a better man today than you were yesterday? So when you
Yep.
lose sight of your goal, or when you reach your goal, do you lose your ambition, purpose, drive because you're not? I mean, you reached it. What do you do now?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how do you become a master? But my question is to you, do you even look at it as friction in your life? What slows you down?
So like I
For me, it's
so
sleep.
one I would say for me the friction is like because there was a time like before coming moving back to China where like I had lost a lot of weight and I actually was getting into a rhythm of like being healthy, and then I would say the friction was moving like basically taking my life and moving it back to China. And at that moment, like I wasn't I didn't keep it in my mind that okay, I need to continue this pattern of working out. I need to continue this pattern of exercising. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm back in China. Like things are cool. Everything else is literally. I didn't think this, but now looking back at it, I'm like, oh, I literally was like, oh no, everything will just kind of like pan out. It'll be fine. And then I ended up ballooning back to my original weight of about 260 pounds versus where I was sitting at like roughly around 220 to 215 to
You don't want
220.
to. You don't want to give kilograms. You don't want to
Well, I was
give a
thinking of giving
kilogram
kilograms, and I was like, oh, that's not
ratio.
gonna it's gonna make any sense. So I figured go with pounds better.
100 kilograms, give or take.
So what about you? What's the friction in your life that kind of slows you down? Where did you reach your pinnacle or what you felt was your goal, but then just kind of coasted after that? Dramatic
I
pause.
don't know. When I got married, that's that. I quit trying a lot.
Okay, could try and what?
Quit trying to win her every day, I guess.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. That's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like
I mean, that is like one of the biggest things you learn in like your marriage counseling. If you go to marriage counseling, I go to marriage counseling because hellfire. I mean, you see it every day. I mean, how hard is it not to look at your wife or your significant other as the enemy? They're easier to take trouble and easier to take stuff out on because they're there all the time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Fair.
What else? Friction. I would say I plateaued when I graduated. Um, but I didn't necessarily stop. It's kind of like losing, not losing focus, but trying to figure out what to focus on next, how to make myself better. I have a
Okay.
degree and I enjoy my work and it's what I want to do, but at the same time, there's more I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, we're trying to start a business now. We started a business, and that's the next step. So, how do I be the best business person? I've never plateaued at marriage. If anything, I've pretty much fallen off a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, and every day it's a fight, honestly, like trying to master marriage.
So
Yeah,
getting back to
good
his
times.
question of getting back to his question of are you better today than you were yesterday? But I want to be more specific. Are you better today at your marriage than you were yesterday? Like, and in what things are you better, and in what things are you trying to get better at?
I am. Oh well. Let me put it like this. It's never been said that I have the most calm temperament.
Mm,
You know, I've never been the most forgiving, if you will. So I would say
okay.
that's my improvement. I'm a lot more gracious when things happen. Um, but at the same time, I still fail at the same thing as like uh, I took a what is it called, personality assessment, where it's like, this is you and this is what communicators need to do with you and how you communicate with others. So it's like, it was 100% like Andrew does not like beating around the bush. Andrew is straightforward. Andrew does this. Andrew does that. I'm saying my name, of course. Yeah, no, wait, we say it anyways. Okay. Blonde moment there. And then it says when you're communicating with him, don't act like you're hiding stuff. Like, don't leave details out because then it seems like you're hiding stuff. And it may not be nothing big, but it's just like, you know, for me, it's all about details. But then the other one was, I have no patience for people who are not moving as fast as I am. And it's
In what
kind of like,
sense?
in what
Expound upon that.
sense? In the sense that I feel like I can change my mindset a lot faster than most people can. Like I'll jump
Mm,
on board and be 100%, and then I get upset when nobody's there with me 100%. You know what I mean?
okay. Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
the song for reference, you're either with me or against me. It kind of feels like that, either get on board or get out the way almost. That's exactly
Okay.
what the song says, isn't it? But
Something along that.
am
Sure.
I better today than yesterday? I have moments. I have moments
Okay.
of betterness. I'm very capable. For me, the biggest frustration is like when I express in my marriage what I'm unhappy with. It seems like uh, the message isn't portrayed clear enough to where they understand it. But then flip it around the next day or something like that. They're saying the exact same thing to me, acting like I'm bad. I was like, so you understand this when you're saying it, but you don't understand it when I'm saying it. So like that's the kind of stuff. You know, I'll get more into that later. You know, it's friction, if you will.
Okay.
I mean,
All
it's
right.
almost to the point of
Good.
like, you know,
Um.
go ahead. I'll stop.
Oh wow. No.
Go
I
ahead.
was. Just, I
You
was just
haven't
gonna.
talked.
I was just gonna.
You haven't talked in so long. I feel like I'm starting to be
No,
like,
no, no. I was gonna hop into the next thing. Just talking about the chapter where he talks about that basically for mastery that there is no arrival, like there's no final destination. And I really enjoyed this quote. There's no glorious state of being where the clouds part and the angels sing hallelujah, you've made it. And so kind of like internalizing that and realizing that you're not going to reach you're never going to reach your full potential. And Mickler even presents that as that you just got to enjoy the ride. That mastery is a path. It's a journey. It's not a destination that you reach to. There was a quote I had seen years ago where it was like, you don't want to get to the end of your life like all safe and no scratches, no nothing, but instead you'd rather like come in like sliding in with like bumps, bruises, cuts, and just be like, man, what a ride. And then be able to feel like that was the journey that
and
you
then
had
die,
taken
and then die
to
right there,
get to there. Yeah,
just dead right there,
to be like, man,
slide
that was
into your
great.
deathbed.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
yeah, for me it was that little end quote there. He's not saying that you'll never reach your full potential. He's saying that when you hit that potential that you're aiming for, that goal or that final destination, quote unquote, like once you're there, if you are truly trying to be a master of your path or master of what you're working towards, I mean, you'll see that is not the end. You'll see that you can do better. You can see where you could do better. You know, it's not, you do arrive, which will bring us to the next one. You do get there. It's just good job. Now, can you do better or be better? You know, in competition
Right,
with
right,
yourself,
right.
like you said, it's it's 110%. You know, are you fighting yourself every single day to be better? Almost, I say
Right,
fight,
right, right.
but it
Or at
is what
least
it
like
is.
competing with yourself. Well, and the thing is, like, I still do. I disagree. I think that there is no full potential because if you're like, oh no, I can reach that, but he does go into talking about victories, and so the next part where he talks about acting like you've done it before and act like you'll do it again. It's
Excuse
getting
me.
those victories and it's celebrating those victories, but asking yourself, can you do it again? Going back and reviewing, and even if you do win, seeing if you can do it again or do it better. And like what is it going to take to fix the things like to make you become the best that you can. And like I love how he uses a football analogy saying that like when a dude scores a touchdown, like he uses football analogies to show bad things, but then he uses baseball analogies to show good things. And I'm like, I mean, you could just use baseball to show good and bad things, or use football to show good and bad things. But his analogy is that when a dude scores a touchdown, he runs off and goes and celebrates like he did it and it was all him, and he doesn't actually go and congratulate his teammates and stuff like that. And I'm like, theoretically, like I just I'm like, I disagree with that because like I've seen plenty of times where guys score touchdowns or they do something on defense and everybody celebrates. Everybody gets together. The offensive line will run up to the guy and like give him a high five or like hold him up and cheer him. Like you see that in football, especially a lot more these days. But it's more along the lines of when you do that, again, acting like, okay, I've been here. I know that this can happen and I know that it will happen again. I just need to get better at it. Like, was there a better route that I could do? Was there a better, like, could I have run faster? Could I have chosen to hold the ball a different way? Like, and I go back and talking about football, I go back to Tom Brady and just thinking about how this guy has achieved so much. And even this offseason, he retired and then unretired. And it's just because like in my mind, he wants to be the master of his craft, and there's nobody even on par with what he has done and what he is doing.
Hmm.
So what are your thoughts regarding Tom Brady and what I said about him being kind of like going back and being like the master of what he what he does?
Tom Brady is without that one of the best. I don't even know how you tie Tom Brady in this, except for the fact of the football analogy.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you just,
I
you
tied
just,
I
you
tied him
just
in
sort of
because like he goes off and
he is a master of his trade. Absolutely, that. And
like
he
he's never satisfied
he
with
doesn't,
just
yeah, winning, right? He doesn't celebrate like he won last year and was in it not this year
two
but
years ago.
last year.
2 years ago, yeah.
Have you? Let me. I mean, I'm just gonna go deep with you. What are you? What is your goal right now? Like, what are you aiming for? Is I know the podcast is one of them, but
Hmm.
you know what
I'll tell you
else?
what I
Like,
don't aim for. I'll tell you what I don't like.
don't aim for
Even
it. Like, wow, you're talking about like half the world.
no, 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 no. Well,
This is
well,
gonna be a
I'll
long
tell you.
list.
Yeah. No, 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 no. I'll tell you. No, no, no. Something that I am doing right now, but I'm not actually aiming to be the master of it. Is teaching at the school that I'm at. Like I don't aim to be the master there. Like I'm not. There are guys who are so much better at it than I am, who actually have like a love and a passion for it, and they're crazy about it. And they'll go and they'll study, and they'll take hours out of their day just to hone in their craft. Me, I'm like I'm kind of like I want to be a great teacher, but not necessarily like again
Right.
going back to
That's
this
that's just that's
institutional
just
teaching.
a means to your end. That's just a stepping stone to what you want as a goal.
Specifically, teaching at an institution. Teaching is something that I want to be the master at, and learning how to get better at convincing people or persuading people to learn in other avenues is more of what I'm passionate about. Being able to tell stories. I want to get better at like acting and doing voiceover. I want to like be the best voiceover person. I want to be the best actor. I want to be the best like football, maybe not football analyst, maybe football analyst, or just maybe the best storyteller, and maybe the best teacher of like just regular things. Just being the best at teaching people how to do how to understand more difficult concepts that I understand in an easy capacity. Is there a place in your life where you reviewed after quote unquote winning, like you went in and you reviewed how you did, and then also off of that, is there a place that you should go and review after wins?
I don't know that I necessarily stopped after like my degree and was like, what could I have done better? Uh, because there's no point in my idea of reviewing something like getting a degree because there's so many things you do miss after your degree is done. Like for instance, like you can't go back and get the same kind of funding you got. I mean, you can get another bachelor's degree if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You could go and get your master's if you decide.
I don't know. Like, I don't know that I've ever stopped to review after I've gotten to a winning. Like, I definitely review when I lose and fail.
Right, right.
like reassess. No, like. I think where I'm trying to develop a business now. Whew, marriage, not really a win situation, but it's definitely points where like that didn't work at all. What can I do better? But it's more or
Mm-hmm.
less it's I don't really look at it as winning versus it's a failure. How can I be better?
Well, like
So
going like
no, not really, not
okay.
really, no, no,
So I'll give you
no
I'll
is my
give you
answer.
I'll give you my for instance, and maybe that'll help kind of like help you
It
figure
doesn't.
it out. But like for me, like winning, for instance, like kind of what you said, like getting married was like kind of like a success. And after 30 plus years of life, like I think that that's definitely something that it's like okay, cool. Like I got I'm able to be married. I'm able to be with the woman that I love, and I snagged her. I got her. I hooked her. I like reeled her in. Because that's what you do. She's a fish. No, that's I don't know why that's a terrible analogy, but going back and even looking back and sitting there like,
You set the hook, huh?
yep, I examining the marriage and sitting there and trying to discuss or trying to figure out what can I do to make it better, because to be a better husband, because like being a husband anybody can do it. You just put a ring on it and sign some papers and do the whole I do she does, cool, great, awesome, moving on. But like trying to analyze how to make it, like how to make it better, especially as we're growing older, especially as things kind of like change around us. Like being a better husband is definitely something that I want to become a master at. And ultimately, like and like thinking into the future, like if God blesses us with children, that will be a success, that'll be a win. And then it's like, okay, how do I be like, now I'm a dad, let me be the master of being a dad to this child, and so for me, like those are things that I'm aiming for. All right. So the mindset that Mickler presents is that I learn from my victories and failures. Now he says failures. I like the word defeats because I think it's kind of a better thing, because I like looking at it from that perspective of victories versus
Yeah,
defeats.
no, no. Yeah.
What, you prefer failures?
Well, they say that you're not really defeated or you don't really fail until you give up, you know. I guess I've heard it both ways.
Okay. So, but the mindset is I learn from my victories and failures and continue to grow. And then
Definitely failures, not so much victories. Because it's like I said, like it's harder. It really is. You know, it reminds me of an analogy. Let's go like this. So Einstein walks into a classroom and he sits there and he goes and writes on the board. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Where it's like, 9 times 1 equals 9, 9 times 2 equals 18, 9 times 3 equals 27. It goes on and on. It gets to 9 times 9 is 81. And then he does 9 times 10 is, what does he put? 99. And like, everyone's like, no, no, what are you doing? That's wrong, blah, blah, blah. He's like, so I did it right 9 times. And y'all didn't congratulate me, didn't notice it, didn't say a word about it, but then you do it wrong once. And everybody's up in arms about it. So, and my analogy for that is like, it's a lot easier for ourselves to focus on failure or defeat or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. It's not to mention it's easier to see that versus a victory. I feel
but
like
but I would
there's a lot of
say,
times I don't count it a victory. I just, hey, cool, I'm here now. Now what do I do next? So maybe that is growth in and of itself. Maybe that's how I celebrate. Looking for the next best thing.
yeah.
Um,
But like he presents this idea that even when you win, when you get that victory, if you just decide that's enough, that you're good, you got the job. And even thinking about it from the perspective of like, okay, I've got this job now. Can I get a different job? Can I get a better job? Like for me, that's kind of like stuff that kind of rotates in there. But it can also be difficult because like if I get that job and then I'm always looking for the next big opportunity, maybe if winning just becomes all of it instead of just being the master of being the best teacher at the school, then I'm always looking at the next opportunity, always trying, always changing, and not actually like honing my craft per se. I'm just getting better at doing present or not presentations, but doing interviews, right?
right.
I think the main thing is like, but basically, can you outperform yourself? Can you do better than your
Um,
last time?
Always. It's just how is the question. How will you do better? What will you do better? Knowing what you could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Definitely could outperform myself. For my job, there's never like there's no skill set that you sit there and hone. Like you work on so many random different jobs that you may work on one thing, the same thing twice in a month, but then at the same time after that, it's like you may never see it again for like another 2 months, 3 months. So it's like um, it is kind of hard to like master those things. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
easier to become a jack, but it's easier. There's skill sets within designing there that you could be good at. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
looking at what you can master. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So what about defeat? Let's talk about defeat. Let's talk about failures. So
never done it. I don't know what you're talking about.
so so Mickler presents that defeats can also like cripple men, and that what they try and do is they try to avoid it at all costs.
Yes, we can avoid it, but or failures. But the only way you can avoid it is just by not trying. I mean, you can't possibly win every single thing you put effort into. I mean, you can, I guess, but very rarely. You know, there is going to be a time you fail. And like I
Actually,
said,
I don't know.
do
I
you
don't know.
assess when you fail? Do you grow from it? You know, I like his comment where failure is not really losing or defeat. It's feedback to
Right.
what you can do better. And like
Right.
that's what I was telling you. Like it's easier for me to recognize what I did wrong when I failed than it is to what I did wrong when I didn't fail. You know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how can you look at it and be like, well, I did something wrong even though I got my end result? You know, it's kind of hard to see that.
Yeah. And so I think looking at defeats and looking at failures as just feedback that it is that, I think that can make us hone our craft. I mean, one of the biggest things that I always tell students to do, because here in China, generally the students are so afraid of failure that they just won't even try. And I try and tell my students like their favorite answer nowadays is I don't know. I'll ask them a question. I'll be like, hey, what's this? And they're like, I don't know. No, duh, you don't know. Like that's part of the reason why you're in school is because guess what? You don't know stuff. And so don't give me the answer I don't know. Try. Just give me a guess. Throw something out there. Don't tell me I don't know. Don't just give up because I don't know is the weakest form of like anything. Like being like I don't know, like not oh let me go find out or oh hey or let me figure this out or let me try something. They're just like nah, I don't know. And I'm like, guys, like you've got to
I mean, I don't know. It's fine in my opinion as long as you do try to figure it out. You know.
I, and to an extent, yes, I don't disagree with that. But here, it's like the death blow to trying anything. It's like, oh, I don't know. You're you're not going to try. You're not going to give it a shot. You're not going to tell me an answer and just guess an answer, guys. I'm the freaking teacher. Like, just guess. Like, my job is to teach you. I can't teach you if you just give up on trying. Like, I want you to try. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to fail along the way. That way, I can help you grow. I can teach you what you did wrong, show you where you were incorrect. And so it's just, yeah, it just bothers me a little bit. And so, like, I like this, I like that idea that winners plateau, losers quit, masters never stop. Skill set, you got it,
Jack of all trades, master of none.
bro.
What do you think
Wait, you
about it?
got to read. You got to read what he says first.
I don't. I don't have to read it at all.
but this is the skill set.
The skill set. Do less, master more.
There you go. Okay, okay, okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, back to my question. Jack of all trades, master of none. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Besides the fact that I've actually used this in my own life, you can ask my wife, anybody can ask my wife and sit there and say, all right, is Nick a master of something? And she may say like one or two things. I'm like, okay, what does Nick like to do? What are the things that Nick is a jack of? And she'll be like, well, he does this, and this. And then sometimes he does this, and this. And then he's got these, and these, and these. And so there was a time where I was probably juggling, I don't know, 8 or 9 different things, like literally like that number.
All right. Anyways, Jack of all trades. Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. Mako talks about though being a jack of all trades, you get burnt out quickly. Because comes into like a pride thing. You know, I want to do it myself because I don't want to pay anybody else to do it. Basically, it has nothing to do. It's kind of funny how he's like delegate these to other people, which is funny. You know, I never even thought of that. I did want to point out that that's actually not the full quote. I don't know if you knew that or not.
What is not the full quote? The jack of all trades,
Well,
none.
yeah,
Okay.
it's actually the quote goes: "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one."
Mm.
That is the actual quote. And then I found this one quote by, I don't know who it is. Let me see if I can find him. It was Richie Norton. I don't know who that is. He says, "A jack of all trades or master of one. If you're a master of one, you'll soon be a master of none. Times are changing. Be a jack of all trades or better, master of many."
I think being the master of some is probably better because I agree that like as times change, like if you're the master of this one thing and then that one thing gets negated or gets like cut out of the economy or cut out of life, then I can understand where it's like, oh crap, like now I've got to go and learn something else. And there's nothing wrong with going and learning anything else, like being the master of one, having that end, but you've got to be mindful of that. You've got to pay attention to the times and see what's happening, the trends that are happening, and then be like, okay, so this is so let me go and learn how to do this. However, like for instance, for me, entertainment is something that I love to do and I would love to be a master of. But entertainment in and of itself creates a lot of different trades that you can do within the realm of entertainment. And so whether it's podcasting or doing reviews or singing or speaking or creating videos to kind of entertain people, like, or doing stand-up comedy, all these different things that could potentially lead to, entertainment. And so going into the list of things to delegate, like I want to get your opinion on this. So he says to like delegate like taxes, yard work, vehicle maintenance, payroll, investment research, unnecessary meetings, emails, phone calls, running errands, cleaning your house, home repairs, etc., etc. I was wondering like first off, I think in his mind, like these are things that are just not interesting to him and he's not passionate about them.
Let me just be frank though with you, if you want me to. What are you doing that you shouldn't be? What are you doing that's costing you too much time and money? What are you doing that you don't even enjoy? The number one thing I find that I lack enjoyment in most of my life is marriage, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
That is a little crazy.
Yeah. Um
What
not not so much because like, you know, the camaraderie ship or the companionship. It's more or less like the wasted time in trying to not hurt each other's feelings just feels like it's just gears are just turning for no reason. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
like so
Like, have you ever, like, I always stop, but like, what is the point of an arguing? Like me trying to get you to see my way, you trying to get me to see your way, it's pointless because like you're not changing and I'm not going to change. So it's like, if we spent more time focusing on what we could do right, or what we could get done vis-a-vis investment, opportunities and starting a business, you know,
I kind of feel like this could actually lead into the second skill set, your whole talk of marriage, and that being the permission to experiment, because again, like when you're talking about where
but
it's
but it might get me killed. I might die.
That's true. But no, what I mean by like, so what he means by like experimentation is like trying different things because you've already seen where your failures have already gotten you. So, for instance, the whole idea of argument and the whole idea of when you guys are arguing, you're always trying not, you're not actually, you're not trying to, you're not really preparing or trying to change, and you feel like she's not really trying to change. And so, like, maybe this experimentation of like trying to change a little bit, trying to agree with one or two points that she presents, but then also like, experimenting with this and seeing if it's going to be possible for you to, because it may be something that you haven't tried, or maybe you have tried, but maybe you can try it in a different way. What that way is, no idea. Just not going into like details because I'm not as up to date on how argument strategies are between you and her.
Experimentation is not just, experimentation. It is a failed attempt until you succeed almost. I mean, the way you look at it is like, as he talks about science, you make a hypothesis and you try and replicate and experiment to prove your hypothesis. And until you win, you're losing basically, until you prove it, succeed, technically everything's a failure.
You can't let fear dictate what you will and won't do, because if you do, then you'll never end up growing.
Or
Right?
failing.
Well, but fear, the fear of failing, the fear of not doing it, then you won't do stuff, or you will do other things that won't actually contribute to you becoming the master of your life, or the master, becoming not the master of your life, but the master of something, like developing mastery towards something, whether it's relationships, jobs, life. If you're not willing to try new things to get better at it, then you're too afraid to do that, then it doesn't really benefit you.
Yeah, and also it's like I'm not saying like I'm not trying to experiment with my marriage, just so you know. It's just that whole comment where it's like, how much time are you wasting, and do you even enjoy it? That's that concept of it. Um, Change is not enjoyable. Change is
Mm.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
Failure sucks. Um, I'm not good with failure. I do always try and win. Screw everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back to that song. But yeah, I mean, I am trying.
Okay.
Even though I feel like there's a failure coming up, I do. Like I've said it before, and whether or not she listens or not, at this point, I can honestly say I've tried everything to make it work up to this point. So, are you gonna meet me halfway or not? Because we're not looking at the past anymore. We're looking at the present.
Yep.
What is something you need to experiment with today? Well, I will say on my career benefit or my career path, I would say that my strong suits as far as engineering and all that is more hands on, troubleshooting issues versus design work. So I am definitely out of my element where I work now, even though I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing is like the jack of all trades. Are you doing anything that's wasting time? Like I want to know why, how this is done this way, it works this way, this and the other thing. But then at the same time, it's like, do I need to be concerned about that?
Right.
It's kind of like it's a balancing act. Like why are we designing this way? Is there a reason? Well, no, we just always done it that way. That's a common concept you hear all the time. So it's like, can we do it better? So, and then the other thing is like me improving my skill set as far as being a designer. They actually have classes and certificates I can take for CAD and
Mm-hmm.
SolidWorks and all that. And it's like, every day I try and put an hour into it. We have like SMART goals, what you're doing to improve yourself, and it's like one of them was start a business, so I did that. Another one was take these certificates. I have not taken those because it seems like it says there's 6 hours of videos, but then there's like another 6 hours of designing different little things. It's like I'm trying not to miss anything too. I'm watching every video from beginning to end. Then I get distracted and have to rewatch it, but not really experiment, but definitely something to improve myself after I reached my goal of engineering. How am I going to be better now? What is
Mm-hmm.
my next goal? What is my next step? Where am I going to go now?
Mm-hmm.
I always ask myself, what am I going to do with all my free time I have when I graduate and I'm not going to school and working full time? Well, start a business and try and do better with my design career.
So I think with me, like one of the things that I've got to that I need to experiment with is definitely experimenting with my classes, trying to instead of just trying to basically, I guess, preach at the kids whenever I'm teaching them, like giving them this, but actually go in and make it more about them and try to make it more accessible to them, but also try and be more accessible to them, like where instead of it just being where we have classes together, but actually be able to kind of be more involved in their lives and discussing these things with them and trying to connect with them on a more personal level so that they're more susceptible to instruction and more susceptible to understanding and asking questions and being comfortable around me. Um, that being said, also like I definitely with this podcast, like learning to uh, try to get it out there with with like social media or even trying to I like doing new edits, like doing new ways of editing and also even putting it out there to where other podcasters like get their idea, get their review, get their thoughts on what we could do better and how we can be better at it. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening on your favorite podcasting app, please subscribe and leave a review or a comment. It helps us reach the other people who may gain some wisdom and gain some knowledge and be able to have a conversation with us. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, click the like button. It lets people know that you like this. Also, click the bell. That way you are notified when we post. Leave a comment because we do want to hear what you think down below. Popping up on the video now is going to be the sovereignty sets. And also the last video that we did in chapter 17, which was discipline. Finally got there. I'm Nick.
I'm Andrew. Yeah, and as always, you have an open invitation to our conversation.